What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. So I want to talk about some hot topics that have been trending in Black social media lately. A couple, all right. And these hot topics tend to center around interracial dating, but more specifically, Black women in interracial dating. Hmm, that's an interesting topic to explore, right? So first, I'm going to start with uh, Oprah Winfrey's television show Black Women Own the Conversation. They had a segment about Black women in interracial dating on the show. And I didn't see the show in its entirety, but I saw a clip on YouTube. All right. So it was like three women kind of giving their opinions about interracial dating. And they both had similar opinions, but also different opinions. Like, I would say the last woman had probably the biggest difference of opinion. But yeah, the first woman, she spoke and said basically kind of like love is love, that sort of a thing. The third woman spoke and said, black love is the only love for her. Black king, oh black king, it don't mean a goddamn thing if it ain't about my black king, baby. To be fair, she didn't go fully into the Black King song now, to be fair. But the clip was edited, so she may have, and they just edited it out. Then the woman in the middle, she is transgendered, and she gave her opinion about it. And notice how they brought on a transgender woman who, when they put them all together, she was the darkest of the three. That's something to think about too. Just saying. But to be real, I think she probably was, keep it real, probably the better looking of the three. Now, Winnie, if she just like the whole vitiligo situation, if that wasn't there, then she probably would be the best looking of the three. The third woman, she was like a safe brown color, maybe peanut butter. I can see from the looks of her that she would be more so on the black love tip, because you can kind of tell, by looking at some of these women what type of tip they're gonna be on when it comes to, being on interracial dating versus non-interracial dating, But I will say that the second woman, the transgender woman, probably hit the mark the best, to keep it real. And she just said that, when you can't bring yourself into the entire relationship, then that would be a problem and a deal breaker. And it should be a problem and a deal breaker. And I've spoken on that before, when speaking about, like, is your non-black partner going to be able and willing to deal with the baggage that you come with as a black person, whether it's being a black woman or being a black man. Is your non-black partner going to be willing to deal with that? Are they going to be able to hold you through and hold you down when you're going through things? Are they going to be missing in action? Are they going to be downplaying things? Are they going to be co-signing racism against you? Those are things that are important that should be thought about, right? But I do also find it a bit interesting that, this interracial dating conversation and the cautions of interracial dating tend to be focused on black women, which on one hand I can understand, because black women would be a bit more susceptible, because, being a woman versus being a man when you're in like relationships, I understand that, but also it does come off as a bit fear mongering. And also, to an extent, even, why is there even a conversation about this? I don't really see black men talking about this. I don't see that. Like, the dangers of interracially dating. You don't really see that all that much, right? And you don't really see black men going at each other talking about, black love is the only love that should be, for black men. Stuff like, you don't really see that. They may think it, they may prefer it, but they ain't really pushing it on their fellow black brother like that, right? Especially on behalf of black women. Now, on the other hand, black women will do that perhaps on behalf of black men or perhaps on behalf of themselves. Yeah, that's a whole nother story in itself. But next I want to talk about something that relates to this, which is, you know, Young Jeezy and Jeannie Mai came out as a couple. And I've heard about this before, way early back when like the first picture was taken with them, and they were like in a group picture together with some, friends, buddies, associates, whatever that we want to call them. And I'm seeing this relationship playing out in the media. Jeannie Mai and Young Jeezy, that relationship playing out in the media now, right? Because they came out as a couple. And I'm comparing this to, Loni Love and her relationship, right? And seeing how that is playing out in the media, right? And the same people who criticizing, some of the same people at least, criticizing Loni Love for being a swirler, I don't really see them criticizing Young Jeezy for being a swirler, right? Notice that. These same people, all of a sudden, they ain't got shit to say. They ain't got nothing to say about, Young Jeezy and Jeannie Mai, right? But they got a whole lot to say when it comes to, say, a Loni Love, or Serena Williams, or Eve, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So, yeah, also, yeah, again, where's Amanda Seales at? Because she came through just recently talking about, Brad is trash and telling black women basically not to interracially date. But where is her telling, the black men like Young Jeezy that, saying that, like Jeannie can't grant you 3 wishes like, LaQuisha can. You don't really see that playing out either. But we all know what Amanda Seales was on. She was on some black male pandering tip, right? She very much did that to gain favor with black men. It wasn't about being down and concerned for black women. It was just trying to get some cookies, some brownie points, get back in black men's good graces because of that whole situation she was in, with that football player turned neurosurgeon. And also, I forgot to mention previously, but like Amanda Seales, like when she did that, the colorism aspect was brought up in that situation. And she very much glossed over that colorism aspect, which pretty much solidifies that she's not here for any black woman who is darker than she is. All right, she'd be here for the black men who are darker than she is, right? But even then, it all ultimately blows up in everybody's face, right? Colorists get their karma, right? Because one day, it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, who knows when it'll be. But one day, the colorist beast always turns its head on the colorists themselves. Like, there's no honor among colorists, there really isn't. So they end up kind of like doing each other in, and, bringing each other down. But I want to jump back to the Jeannie Mai, Loni Love comparison situation right quick, right? So yeah, people are you notice that this Young Jeezy relationship with Jeannie Mai is very much being pushed strongly, at least for the moment, in the media, right? And I've heard it being talked about on black radio stations, very much being celebrated, right? The love of a good woman, right? And Jeannie Mai has, said some questionable things. All right. Like dark meat on the side, baby. White meat, the main course for me. Right. And very much, I think that situation with her and her previous husband was very much predicated a lot on assimilation. Um, because I do think there is some advantages and some privileges that are associated with having a white partner, especially a white male partner. So I think that was at play too. Because I think, like, I've seen, some clips of the reel before, and even a couple of episodes of the reel. And, Jeannie Mai's, Man Crush Mondays typically almost always tended to be black men. And that's okay. I mean, if that's what she likes, then that's what she likes. But I do find that to be a little interesting. And I think partially she said that comment partially because Tamar and Lonnie Love kept kind of like coming at her with that. So she was like, let me check you. Like that dark meat on the side. All right. White meat, my main course. Okay. It's healthier for me. All right. It's healthier. It goes better with my lifestyle. Right. And, Lonnie Love and maybe Tamar also kind of came at Tamara because all of her Man Crush Mondays were like her husband. But I'm like, well, you're criticizing Jeannie Mai for her Man Crush Mondays for not being reminiscent at all of her husband. And you're criticizing Tamara for all of her Man Crush Mondays being reminiscent of her husband. So it's like, well, what do you want? I guess they want them to be in a middle ground or something. I don't know. All right. Why ain't they criticizing Tamar for not having no thick man crush Mondays? I don't. The dude she was man crushing on didn't look like Vince at all, at least body type wise. I'm just saying. But that's the thing too. Like people are really concerned, overly concerned about what other people do in their dating life and relationship and romantic life and all that good stuff. Why? Why is that? That's something to think about too. Why is there such a concern about that? Right. But yeah, Jeannie Mai was like, that dark meat on the side, baby. But now it ain't on the side no more. Right now it's the main course. Jeannie Mai done got her a nice slice of the dark meat. All right. All right. But yeah, those comments resurfaced. I don't think they really needed to be resurfaced, but they resurfaced, whatever, right? I don't think this is going to be scaring any black men off. I don't think this is going to be shaming any black men, I mean, if this was like Lonnie Love and her situation, oh, that'd be being pushed all over the place, right? If her boyfriend James had said some comment about that, damn well that would be being pushed. Black men and black women would be all over that, right? And very much black women do play sort of the role of the overseer when it comes to other black women and interracially dating and just helping to keep other black women, quote unquote, in check. They really do play that overseer role. Particularly the mammies, pick-me's, and mule types play that role, right? Just like when it comes to black people and white people, how some black people play that overseer role, right? But with black people playing the overseer role, I'm like, well, I can kind of see them getting some sort of a benefit from it, monetarily perhaps, But I'm like, well, what the black women really getting the benefit out of it, And this is just kind of like black women sort of doing the job that black men should be doing, Black men should be telling black women, don't give up on black men. Black love is the only love. That's the love that keep us alive. Sustain us, perpetuate us into the future. Keep us in. We ain't trying to end up in the museum. All right, we can't, breed ourselves out of existence. You don't really hear black men doing that. They just, going on with their goddamn lives right now. They don't give a good goddamn about no bullshit like that. Right now, That's for black women to be concerned about, right? But yeah, those fear-mongering and shaming tactics don't really seem to be working on black men like that, right? And partially because other black men don't hop on board and participate in those fear-mongering shame tactics against other black men, all right? So, like I said before, black women cannot sustain and maintain black love by themselves, all right? If black men are not on board with black love, then there is no black love, at least between the genders. I mean, if black women want to love themselves and love on other black women, you know, platonically or romantically or sexually or whatever, then perhaps, but that ain't gonna perpetuate nothing as far as like perpetuating the next generation. Like that ain't gonna sustain and perpetuate the next generation of black people. Biologically, that ain't happening. So just needed to put that out there. So yeah. But yeah, ultimately when it comes to this sort of like interracial dating situation, ultimately I think when it comes to black women, some black women, it tends to come to the point of like, better the devil you know, right? Not to say that these black women in their pursuit of black love is without issues and without problems. Of course not. Just like the interracial folks got their issues and problems too. But I think many black women, and perhaps just people in general to an extent, are just more comfortable with the devil that they know, right? They know what to expect from black men, right? So they can kind of deal with that a bit more because they just know what's coming or what potentially could come. But when it comes to other men, it's kind of like, well, you know, like, you know, they don't know, right? But, you know, one woman did say something, and I think it did kind of ring true. It was like, you know, if you can deal with the game that black men run, then you can deal with the game that any other group of men run. Yeah, and I think there's some, keep it real, there's some truth in that. Just like I kind of feel like for black men, if you can deal with, you know, black women's, you know, issues and attitudes and stuff like that, no shade, then you can deal with pretty much any other woman's issues and attitudes and whatnot. All right. And no, I think black men know that. But let's talk about another aspect of this that I saw come up, which was like desirability. Black men's desirability versus black women's desirability. I seen that brought up, and I'm like, here we go. Black men wanting to compete with black women on who's more desirable. You know, black men are the most desired men on the planet, baby. Every woman wants a piece of the BBC, baby. You know, the big black chocolate, Mandingo anaconda, Mumba, baby. But yeah, we're seeing that being brought up, right? And the thing is, when it comes to a man's worth in society versus a woman's worth in society, like men generally aren't, like their worth isn't generally based on being desirable, you know? Yeah, you notice that. It's not really based on being desirable. Maybe in the black community, because the black community has some very much warped gender role situation going on here. But everywhere else, men's desirability, our worth really, is based more so on their accomplishments and what they've done, what they've built, what they've sustained and maintained, what they perpetuated as far as like their legacy and, you know, their community and all that good stuff. They're not really arguing with women about who's the more desirable person, you know. And really, to break it down, it's more like the more fetishized person, because this desirability, especially for men just in general, but also just black men, since these black men are out here saying that they're just the most desirable, this desirability is not translating into anything tangible for black men. Like this ain't helping the black male collective get more power or a better community, more access to resources, money, whatever. It's not really amounting to anything worth anything tangible, anything worth anything, other than just getting some feel good points from other groups of people, getting some validation from other groups of women or just other groups of people or whatever, right? And I do see black men having desirability or who got the bigger dick contest with other groups of men too. That's pretty much the competition. That's pretty much what they want to compete about. That's pretty much it. Like, who's the better dildo? you know, that's pretty much the competition, what the competition's about, right? Not like who has the better community, who has the better infrastructure, who has the better access to resources, who has the more protected and well-maintained women and children. Hell no. The black male like, what? The black male collective like, what? What's that? But yeah, something to think about. That's not really helping anything. And really, black women can say that they're, very much desired too, at least fetishized, you know. I think black women are smart enough not to go down that road. But I'm pretty sure there's plenty of non-black men who would love to get their hands on a nice, chocolate, thick, ghetto booty having black woman. I'm sure they would. It may even be on some of their bucket lists. God damn it. But black women ain't gonna be shouting that to the sky, especially trying to compete with black men about. Like, it's really pointless to be competing with the black men and black women to be competing with each other, especially over something like that. It just don't make no sense, right? And before I move on to the next situation, I'll just touch on the biracial baby versus black baby situation again. All right. I'll say ultimately, when it comes to biracial children versus black children, as I said in the previous video, there's going to be issues when you have black children, and there's going to be issues when you have biracial children. I'll just put myself in the mix, for instance, right? Like if I had a biracial child, like a child with a non-black woman, I'm pretty sure that I'll say like a white woman, right? My kid would probably come out pretty much white passing. So I wouldn't have to really worry about, say, police brutality and situations with the legal system and situations with school and things like that. But I would have to worry about a situation when it comes to how my biracial child would view other black people, right? I wouldn't consciously raise my biracial child to look down on black people, or anything like that. But those are sort of the things that I would have to be more aware of and to be more cognizant of, right? Do they view black people in a certain way? As well, I would try and raise my child to be an advocate for black people and to be down for black people. If I had a biracial child, I wouldn't raise them to be black. I wouldn't say that, because I feel like, if you wanted a black child, you should have had it with a black person, right? But again, this is all like hypothetical type stuff and whatnot. But just saying, right? I wouldn't put my child in black spaces, They can be, an ally to black people. They can recognize that they do have a connection to black people, biologically speaking, and they can be concerned about black issues and help with black issues and things like that. But, I wouldn't encourage them to claim a black identity, right? Because I think at this point now, I think that is perpetuating a lot of confusion, right? On the other hand, if I had a black child, right, a child that was, say, my skin tone, or perhaps brown skin or dark skin, there would be issues when it comes to, police brutality, or, helping my children navigate through an anti-black society, ultimately, right? That would be something that I would have to be aware of and cognizant of, and to be sensitive to, and to help them with that, right? And as well, I would have to be cognizant of how, colorism affects children, whether they're black males or black females. Colorism still affects children in one way or another. Like, I'm not going to be raising some, brown skin and dark skinned son to be colorist against really anybody, but especially other brown skin and dark skinned black women. Like, no, that ain't going down in my house. That ain't going down in my legacy. As well, if I had a brown skin or dark skinned daughter, I would have to, if I were to be a great parent, I would have to be aware of the things that she would go through, or possibly go through, and help her navigate not only the anti-blackness within society, but also navigate the colorism within the community, the black community, right? Then if I had like a light-skinned daughter, I would have to make sure that she wouldn't get the message that she is better just because she is perhaps a lighter tone, and some, bum-ass Negroes are hyping her up, right? So a lot of things to take in consideration there, right? But, to set the record straight, for me personally, I would prefer to have, like, quote unquote, a black child, a child with a black woman, preferably, strongly preferably, but, who knows what's going to happen. Yeah. Now, so another issue with having a mixed child, for me specifically, if the child came out white passing, then it was like, okay, would I be like my kids like secret, like, oh, I don't want them to know, my dad's, black, like, because they may want to pass as white or something, or, just stay ambiguous or whatever. That could be an issue too. So there's going to be issues, all right? You can't avoid that. There's going to be some type of issue here or there, all right? Just be willing to deal with the issues. Just be sensitive to the issues, willing to help your children go through the issues, or just not have the children. Whatever children you have. All right. All right. Next, I want to speak on something. I'm not even going to mention these people's names. All right. Because I don't want to get them any more clout. All right. Because they do anything for clout. They do anything for clout. Especially when these niggas' pockets in a drought. They do anything for clout. And, press. These niggas don't need more press. These niggas need to be put to rest, goddammit. But, yeah, so it's the typical parent, all right? And I've talked about them before, and we know about them. It was the couple who had a daughter. It was like a dark-skinned dude and a biracial female, right? They were at the hospital with their family, and they had a daughter. And the light-skinned biracial female was like, wanted her daughter to have green eyes. And, her daughter didn't have green eyes. Her earlobes were a little dark, so she may end up having a darker skin, maybe more a skin tone that's more similar to her father, which is perfectly fine, But I don't know if the mother, the biracial light-skinned mother, really was fine with that. All right. But yeah, I'm talking about that couple, and they're on YouTube, and they got like at least 3 million subscribers. I don't know how. I don't know who the hell subscribing to them, but anyway, so they did this prank, and the female, the biracial chick, she did a prank on her husband, who is, he's brown skin, dark skin, whatever you want to call it. I say brown skin. And she did a prank on her husband, and let's put that in quotes too, prank. on her husband where she disguised herself, and in this disguise she, you know, darkened her skin. um she took on an ethnic name, if we will, BB Shaquita, and she changed her style of dressing to be more, I guess, ghetto, because she says she's going to become a ghetto girl, right? Ultimately, people took issue with this because she felt like she was equating ghetto to being like darker skinned, right? Particularly when it comes to women. She probably does that when it comes to men too. Um, but yeah, she was associating that with being ghetto, and you know, some folks took issues with it because they felt like basically it was making a mockery, and considering, you know, making a mockery of, you know, darker skinned black women, right? And really, I kind of feel like that chick is sort of ghetto herself, that light skinned biracial chick. You know, I saw her tattoo. She looked like she fit right in with the rest of them ghetto hood rats over on 54th and Crenshaw. All right, she'll fit right in. All right, all right. But with all that being said, these women, I don't, considering the fact that the biracial female had a run-in, a colorist run-in with black women and black people, but especially black women prior to this, it seems a little weird that she would want to go down this route again, right? Really, I think if she was smart, she would just tread lightly and just, you know, let me avoid this. You know, let me not do something like this, right? Because it's like a million and one things you can just disguise yourself as, right? But, you know, I think, and I'm pretty sure they know what they're doing. Her husband came on like social media, even pretty much said in so many words that this is what they're doing, right? And I did watch the video, so they did get a viewpoint for me. And I saw them in the car together when she was in disguise, and I did notice that her husband, I don't know, I don't know if he's like quote unquote abusive, but I don't know, he may be one of those dudes that are, you know, quick to hit a woman. I kind of low key may have got that vibe from him, you know. I'm not saying that, you know, he doesn't have the right to defend himself, and he doesn't have the right to say, you know, who can touch him and who cannot touch him and things like that. Understand, we all have boundaries, and it should be respected. Those boundaries should be respected. But I kind of feel like that should be sort of like the last resort. But that seems like almost his first resort. Oh, let me hit this bitch right quick. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if if you know, they have some sort of a domestic violence situation or not. I don't know. But some people even brought that up on, like, this couple did like a lie detector test about, you know, smashing and passing, right? And I think he was like jumping at his wife like he was about to hit her. I mean, it's a little weird. It's a little something to be cognizant of and to take note of. I'm just saying. So they were in the car, and I don't know, was this prank even real? Because who gets an Uber to go to Starbucks for a cup of water? Really? Like, y'all couldn't think of a better storyline than that? Then they did, prior to this, they did that whole spray painting the car situation too. So obviously they don't really have much brain power between the two of them. They probably got the brain power of kumquat, a rotten, moldy kumquat. And I don't know, but don't they got people around them at least that can sort of help? Probably not. But y'all know about that whole situation when, oh, he's on camera, and the dude on camera looks like the husband. they just milking this colorism thing. You know, they found themselves a little niche, and they're like, okay, let's do this. Let's milk this, you know, because we need clout. We need press. God damn it. We got to stay relevant on these YouTube streets. Just like how Tommy Loren, y'all remember that chick from back when the Colin Kaepernick protest and all that stuff? She did that shit. It's the same concept, just kind of like remixed, right? Like she trolled black people, and this brown skinned dude and light skinned biracial female are trolling primarily black women, brown skinned and dark skinned black women, you know. So yeah, long story short, you can be biracial, black, or whatever, and still participate in blackface. Okay, you can still, that can still be a thing, because some people coming through like, oh, she black, well, she's biracial, really. And I don't even think she really considers herself black unless it's convenient. Like in a situation that like this, she'll be like, oh, you know, I'm black too. But then when her husband is talking about, you know, wanting to smash some brown skin or dark skin chick, and it's like, oh, I didn't know he liked black women. I didn't know he liked black girls. Like, wait a minute, he likes you though. You black, ain't you? Like, you know, I'm not black. I'm, you know, I ain't that regular mustard. I'm Grey Poupon. That regular, I didn't know he liked regular mustard. I thought he liked Grey Poupon. You know, that's pretty much the spirit of it. But yeah, the biracial female looks like the sloth Sid from Ice Age, and the brown skin husband looks like, you know, a long lost mutant Ninja Turtle. All right, I'm not saying like Ninja Turtles. You got your long lost brother here on YouTube, right here. You need to get your brother off of YouTube and get him over down in that damn sewer, fighting and saving New York City. But yeah, let's move on. Let's move on to the final thing I want to talk about. This video is already long enough. All right, so I want to talk about Azealia Banks, the forever hater, and Lizzo, Normani, and even a little bit about Megan the Stallion. All right. So we can all say that Azealia Banks is a hater, and she probably has mental health issues, right? So, you know, all that plus a whole lot of other attributes and whatnot kind of just allows people to dismiss Azealia Banks. And, you know, rightfully so to an extent. But I will say that Azealia Banks, she has a point, you know. But unfortunately, this is where kind of like respectability politics sort of low-key can work for you in a situation like this, because Azealia Banks, she has no respectability on these streets, right? So what she's saying can automatically be dismissed, right? But if a more respected and respectable person said this, then it wouldn't be able to be dismissed as easily, all right? So, yeah, I do see Lizzo doing her thing, and shout out to Lizzo. You know, she's repping for the big girls, because, you know, the plus size sisters, they need representation too, you know, and even there's even, you know, women who are plus size who aren't black who will look to Lizzo for representation, you know, and maybe even some lighter skinned black women who would look to Lizzo for representation and just be happy with, you know, what Lizzo represents and, you know, what Lizzo stands for and all that good stuff, right? But yeah, Lizzo versus Normani. I think in situations like this, when it comes to black women, I think black women tend to choose the road of least resistance, the easier path. So they'll go down more the path of, say, a Lizzo versus a Normani because it's easier. Anything that requires leveling up, a segment of black women are very much against it and will go the path of least resistance, right? When it comes to, say, hair care versus wearing bonnets, many black women will be talking about, you know, what's wrong with a bonnet, right? Defending wearing bonnets versus coming out with well-maintained hair when you come outside your house. When it comes to hypergamy, there will be a segment of black women saying, you know, it ain't all about money. Do we stop being money hungry? Right? Shaming other black women about that. Right? When it comes to, heck, interracial dating even. I don't want to present that as being quote unquote, leveling up, but oftentimes it's low key seen as that. So there will be black women pushing out, pushing against that, right? Versus just, doing what you do. And even like say educated lanes versus thugs. Many black women are more comfortable with the thug, right? And partially because they may feel inadequate when they're with the educated lane. They just may feel more comfortable, right? It's a more comfortable position to be in. And low key, even when it comes to brown skin and dark skinned men versus light skinned mixed biracial men, I think low key that's at play too. Oddly enough, because they feel like, the brown skin and dark skinned black men, partially, that's why they also hype them up as much. Because I think partially is because of just being an easier option, to keep it real. But another story for another day, right? But one thing that I have noticed about black women as of late, at least some, not all, but some, is that they're very much is a segment of black women who are very comfortable within. They have a comfortable space in mediocrity, right? They have a love affair with mediocrity. Even they push back against, quote unquote, leveling up in a lot of ways, and even shame other black women for wanting to go the path of leveling up, and putting in work and all that stuff. And it's a little disturbing. It's like, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe black women have just been so, to an extent, so beaten down that they don't even think they deserve the best or deserve better, and very much comfortable with the worst of the choices. I don't know, but that's something to think about. And before I go, oh yeah, also when it comes to Lizzo versus Normani, yeah, black women, especially that segment of black women, are going to be more comfortable with Lizzo versus Normani. Normani, you have to work to get to Normani. With Lizzo, you don't got to put in no work like that. You ain't got to put in too much work, right? So that's why Lizzo is going to receive less criticism than Normani. And that's why they'll jump to defend the Lizzo quicker than they would defend Normani, right? And one more thing. Lizzo and Meg Thee Stallion. People say that they're dark skinned. Some people. Me personally, I think they're both brown skinned. But I think partially that may come from people, especially black women, wanting a quote-unquote win, especially like darker skinned black women wanting to win. So it's like, hey, this is our dark skin representation right here. They low-key do the same thing with SZA. RZA. What's that chick name? I think her name was SZA. I think, but she sings that song, like you can have them on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and she'll get them on the weekends or something like that. That was that song. But yeah, so some people suspect that it's because of like, oh, Meg Thee Stallion having a big nose, so she dark skinned. I didn't really think that, but maybe that is what's on people's minds, perhaps. Lizzo being fat, oh, she's a dark hair. Me personally, no, but perhaps that's on other people's mind. I don't know. I never really noticed that Meg Thee Stallion had a big nose, but I did notice that her face sort of doesn't register well on camera. Maybe her face just sort of falls flat just in person as well, because I do notice that she does tend to dress a bit more provocative, on the provocative side. And perhaps that's just to maybe draw attention to her body versus her face. You know, work with what you got. But yeah, I would say that they're both brown-skinned women. I wouldn't say that they're dark-skinned. But, maybe I think partially, dark-skinned women just want to win. You know, so they're going to, hey, this is our, our great chocolate hopes right here, right? And sometimes like lighting and makeup does play a role in how folks look on camera as far as skin tone is concerned, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think I've said pretty much all I have to say. So thanks for watching. Feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to give me a thumbs up. And thanks a lot for the support. And one more thing before I leave. Back to that whole like blackface Uber driver situation with dumb one and dumb two. All right. When not so much the Uber driver situation, but back in the hospital, right, when they had their daughter, the husband, the dark-skinned dude, he was very much, seeming, excited to say like, oh, there'll be someone in the family with my skin tone, right? I find that to be a little interesting, because he's like happy about someone being his skin tone. And like, well, if that was an issue, maybe you should have had your child with someone that was your skin tone. And then the biracial female, she wants a child with green eyes. Well, I'm like, well, maybe you should have had a child with a dude with green eyes. It's so weird, right? And let's talk about fear mongering for a second and go back to that. Because, this dude, because they'll do it with black women, be like, oh, you going to be a minority in your own household. You're going to be the odd one out in your own household. Like, your kids going to go on to have kids, and they going to be like, you're going to be the only darkie in the family, right? And they're going to tie you up and lock you in the closet. You're going to be the granddaddy they never talk about, the black granddaddy that they ashamed to talk about. But on a real tip, though, a YouTuber, well, not a YouTuber, but a person who watches my YouTube videos, he is, a dark-skinned brother. He's like in his late 60s, and he has biracial children. And we were kind of like speaking via the comment section. And he had said something like, oh, some person had said to him, like, oh, I know you're happy that your grandchildren came out light-skinned. And he was like, well, no, he wasn't happy. He wanted a dark-skinned grandchild, right? And his children had children with, like, they're biracial, but they had children with black people, right? Like brown-skinned, dark-skinned black people, right? But the children came out light-skinned still, right? And, he said he was tired of being the only, quote unquote, spook in the family. He wanted to have a dark-skinned grandchild, at least one. But I had told him, like, well, you have, dark-skinned sons and daughters-in-laws, right? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, but, he wanted more of like a biological connection to the child, right? Or wanted someone with a biological connection, right? So, that's something to think about too. Will that be an issue? Would you be okay with being the only dark-skinned person in the family? I mean, let's say I put it on me. Would I be okay with being the only light-skinned person in the family? And there was like a whole bunch of brown-skinned or dark-skinned people. Yeah, that wouldn't be a big deal for me. To keep it real, I kind of am the only light-skinned person, at least like in my immediate family, in the household that I was raised in. Like, I am probably like the lightest within my household, right? The household I was raised in. Like, okay. As well, being the lightest in like school situations, a lot of other situations too. Like, I didn't really notice it. Okay, whatever. But so for some people that could be an issue, something to think about though, right? But then on the other hand, let's say if I were married into like a white family, would I be okay being the only black person? Like, if I'm married into a white family and my kids have kids with white people and everyone turns out white and light, I think for me, that would be something to think about, because there could be situations where racism could come up. You know, how would I react? You know, would I be supposed to be the educator, or will I just be berating people, or will I just take it? Right? Again, that's not really a path that I'm, you know, going down or planning to go down. But again, it's, you know, you never know what's going to pop off in your life, though. You know, just something to think about. But yeah, I've gone on for long enough. My bad. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment. Let me know what you think. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.